And this first question is going to have to deal both with Brad and with Chuck. And it comes from actually me and with one of my clients. And it home deals with home inspectors. And Brad, I will tell you right now, up front, and you already know this, this has nothing to do with Home Team. Absolutely not. But the question is, how far can a home inspector go when it comes to inspecting a home? We'll start with Brad with your end of this, and then we're going to go to Chuck, and you'll see why. Can they poke into walls and leave damage? Can they probe into wood in the basement to see if they have termite damage and then leave holes? So what is the rule for inspectors on this, Brad?
So we got to keep in mind that a home inspection is a non-invasive, non-destructive evaluation of the home. Okay. Because the home inspector is working for the buyer, typically, unless it's a pre-listing inspection. The buyer does not yet own that home. So we have no right to take anything apart, to destroy anything in our evaluation. So the question that comes up is, do we poke stuff? Do we sound stuff? Yes, we do. Okay, we are going to tap screwdrivers on beams to listen for termites. If we have rotten wood, we may stick a probe into that wood just to check moisture levels. We may be checking to see whether or not there's termites or other wood destroying insects inside of them. The question though comes is, where does that line end? Do we remove trim pieces? No. Do we lift up carpets off tack strips to see what's underneath those carpets? No, we do not. Do we remove paint to see the condition of the wood beneath it? No. All of those things would be outside the scope of a home inspection.
So
Are
what
those
if
rules or policies?
No, that is actually the definition, Chuck, of what a home inspection is. So it's the scope of the home inspection as it relates to the either one of the two national standards that home inspectors follow, the American Society of Home Inspectors, ASHI standards, or the INTERNACHI standards.
And is
so
that tied to your licensing?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
That is tied to both Indiana as well as Kentucky rules for the home inspector.
All right,
gotcha.
so we'll follow this through with Chuck in a second, but Brad, so I will tell you that we had one of our listings inspected. My seller is just a phenomenal guy. He's very buttoned up. He knows his house. He comes back and there's as if the inspector who was hired by the buyer dug into concrete in the walls in the basement. Then also left I've got pictures of this and then
Yeah.
left wood damage where apparently this inspector might have been looking for termites, so he's not a termite inspector. There were light bulbs switched out. So my seller's angry and wood
Yeah.
should be, but also we were wondering that may have gone too far, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be, you and I had talked about this a couple days ago, but
Yeah.
yes, that, I mean, for home team, for our both our standard operating procedures internally as a company, as well as the scope of inspection that we follow through the ASHI standards. We are an ASHI company. There's not really a difference between INTERNACHI or ASHI. It's just the people who are overseeing and set those standards, but we deliver very much the same product. But either case, yeah, digging out wood, digging out concrete patches for whatever reason, that's not within the scope of a home inspection.
All right, so let's move this forward. So the recourse that my seller could have, Chuck, legally would be to have that inspector come back and repair the damage. I will tell you, my seller says, I don't want this inspector near my house.
Yeah,
I
understand.
understand. Yeah.
And it's not so much that he has to do it personally. He can have it done. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the damage is, the extent or anything like that. Keeping in mind, um, if someone comes into your house and they damage it, they're liable for that damage. Okay, that's
Hmm.
simple.
Hmm.
So if there is any damage, my first thought would be get a cost to repair, get somebody out there to tell you how to fix it. And then say, approach them, say, look, you caused this damage, it needs repaired. This is my guy that says he can do it for X. Uh, give me something and see where that goes. The other thing is, that's why I was asking the questions about, is that tied to licensing?
Yeah.
One might think that such a thing could be reported if it is tied to licensing.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
that Brad, is there a licensing group that my guy
Yes.
can report this inspector
Yes.
to?
So in the state of Kentucky, it is the Kentucky Board of Home Inspectors. You can find them online. They would be able to take the complaint about it. For Indiana, it is the Indiana Professional Licensing Division that oversees the home inspectors. But in both of the states that I operate in, we are required to carry licenses in order to do that work. Same thing for my pest control companies. We have to be licensed in Kentucky and Indiana to do applications. In Indiana, we have to have a special license for the termite side of the business. One of the things I'm going to say in this case, Bob, is as you and I discussed, the home inspector. Look, I do thousands of home inspections every year, and we break stuff. I mean, we've broken stuff. Okay, we broke a fireplace screen, here a month or so ago. We broke mullions in a custom window. They were removable mullions, and when we went to operate the window, we caught them and we broke them. I mean, just replacing the mullions cost me almost $400. But that, to Chuck's point, if we break something, the home inspector is responsible for making that repair. Now, I don't want to get into the difference between fixes fails, because sometimes when we're testing things that aren't operated, they do fail, but it would have been whether the home inspector did it or whether the homeowner did it, it was going to fail either way. In the case of the window mullions, in the case of the fireplace screen, we operated incorrectly. We broke it. Me as the home inspector, I was responsible to make the repair. I hire a handyman to go in and do those repairs, Chuck, not me. I don't do that because that's not the kind of work that we do. So
right.
I do think in this case, the home inspector should be consulted with, see what the situation is, and then give them the opportunity to affect the repairs, whether they're just paying for it or whether they're contracting with the handyman that the seller agrees to the repair to put it back where it should have been in the first place.
And I would add to that, always get somebody to go in ahead of time and just say, oh, that's not really damage, or that is damage and it costs X to repair, etc. You need a baseline. You can't just, I run into cases where some people all of a sudden dollar signs appear in their eyes and they go to the inspector and say, I want $1 million. And getting the person out there first gives you a baseline, a sense of reality as to what has actually occurred.
Yeah, great point.
All right, we'll move on, but a note, Brad brought this up. I think this is an important, just one little caveat here. If your home inspector also does repairs, I suggest you steer clear, because that's a conflict of interest. Right?
Yes,
Brad?
and according to our standards of practice, a home inspector is not allowed to make a repair to that house for 365 days after we work on it, because what that does is it keeps contractors out of being licensed home inspectors, where they find work and then they can go do the repairs. So we're not allowed to do that. So look, if we pull down a blind, okay, maybe the home inspector puts that back up. But if it's actually repairing something, no, that needs to be handled by some sort of a contractor.
Boy, we're learning a lot today on this show. Gotta tell you that. A reminder, if you want to hear this again, because I know we may have struck a chord with some of you who are listening right now, and maybe you want your friend or relative to hear what we've talked about, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That is LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's a redirect to our YouTube channel where our video and audio will reside. And if you want to hear just questions from our show, in the past, we've made that easy as well. Go to LouisvilleQuestions.com. So Louisville Answers or Louisville Questions, we got you covered on that. And if you'd like to see some of the reviews for our Sokoler team, we're really very proud of them. Go to LouisvilleZillow.com or LouisvilleGoogle.com. Hopefully, you'll see the reviews, and if you're thinking of selling, you'll know, okay, maybe Sokoler is one guy we want to talk to. It's so backed up already with what we've got going.